I guess this month already, May, this is the end of a 52-year cycle. And this 52-year cycle is really about the ending of powerlessness, especially as women, because in this last cycle, the woman was repressed. And we're coming into a midnight sun, which is a feminine sun, and it's the time where woman power emerges. And so in this next 52-year cycle, we're going to see a lot of women's power emerge. And the power of woman is the power of magic. It's to take what they see on the inside, which is intuition, and bringing it to the outside. That's what magic ultimately is bringing the unseen to the seen. And for that to truly happen requires a lot of trust. And because women have been forced to live in a man's world and behave like men, a lot of that intuition, a lot of that clear knowing has been covered up. But in this next cycle, it's going to re-emerge. And when you think about in your own life, it's about reestablishing that trust with your knowing and your clairsentience and your empathy, because they're all converged together into what is my clear action. And see, did you know that a woman only has to work 2 weeks to do as much as a man in a whole month? I know you ladies know that. But because in the old days, women would go to the moon lodge, you know. When women were bleeding, they weren't working and slaving. They were in the moon lodge, you know, praying, fasting, talking with the other women, hanging out, you know, and they weren't doing a whole lot because they were bleeding and they were connecting to spirit. And through that time, they were getting intuition and knowledge and, you know, healing, and they were connecting so that the next 2 weeks they could, you know, plant and crop and do whatever they needed to do, and they would get more done in that time frame. So that's why when we return to the natural cycles of woman, we're returning to the cycles of the moon. The new moon, you know, and then when it crescent moon, that's actually when it's the most powerful. And then as it rises to the full moon, and then when it returns back into the void is when the woman retreats. You know, in the old days, we could sync our periods, our menstruation cycles, to the cycles of moon. And it still works that way. Probably some of you bleed on the new moon, some of you bleed on the full moon. You know, usually we sync up to the new moon cycles. And then if we're around other women, we all cycle together.